Hi, this screencast recording is for our self-paced work from October 12th to the 16th for our Global 9 Honors class. First off, we will navigate over to our Schoology course where you will click into week 6. Inside the self-paced folder, you will notice that there's the screencasting video. This is the one that you should be looking at right now. But you'll see there's a variety of topics, and maybe it looks a little overwhelming, but trust me, they're kind of short items. These are just some quick self-assessments, and there's even a couple of resources that I'll share with you in just a moment. The first activity is oceans and continents. So as you click into that, you'll notice that it's really just a drag and drop practice for oceans and continents. You can see that I filled in a couple here, and as I go down to the bottom of the page, I could just select items that go in the proper space. You could do that up to 20 different times, I believe, until you get a perfect score, so good luck with that. The next two items are just pictures of maps. You could use any atlas you want, but you'll see in the upcoming activities, make your own quiz, is going to be essential for you to know where some places are on a physical map. This is generally mountains and oceans and deserts and such. On the other map resource, we have a political map that shows you major countries, cities, and so on. So these are just things you can click into and use. Here on the activity with the Make Your Own quiz, we've given some background information, and this first paragraph reads this. The location of oceans, continents, countries, and cities are important. However, our course will focus mainly on how man adapted and modified the environment around them. The advancement of human beings escalates rapidly as groups of people begin to migrate to different regions of the world and development of trade networks. Some areas of the world are more desirable than others, and some groups of people will advance more than others. The success of some civilizations can be directly connected to geography and man's ability to adapt and or modify the environment around him. Your job: download the file into Notability. There will be two different maps that you'll see on this worksheet. The first one is countries, the second one is geographic features. So I'm going to navigate over to Notability to show you what it looks like. So here is Make Your Own quiz. You'll notice on the directions, it's just asking you to identify 20 countries, your choice. So it's likely that your map will look different than other classmates in our section. You have complete freedom to do whichever ones you want. So basically, what you're going to do is find I'll just grab a red pencil here, and maybe I'm going to write in, for the United States, I'll just make this a number 1. And if I wanted that to be there, I would just go in and type, and I'm going to use my magnifying glass to draw a little bit better. So now I would tap in, I'm going to make my pen stroke just a little bit smaller. I will type in the United States. And your job is to do this for 20 different locations around the world. Again, your choice. So the corresponding number should match down with the label down below. And this is going to be true for both maps. The first map is countries, which is a political map. The second map is going to be just items, so more of a geographic or topographical map where we look at oceans and continents and mountain ranges. So in this example, maybe I wanted to draw in as my first item is going to be, I'll use the Sahara Desert. So the Sahara Desert is right here in Africa, and I'll just label that as such. I'll zoom back out. I'll put in my cursor so I could write in the Sahara Desert like this. And that's your job. Try to come up with 20 different items, but you could do things like the equator, prime meridian, all sorts of items that might work really well for our class that you think will have, a desire for us to want to label. So that's not quite exactly where the prime meridian goes, but if I labeled it prime meridian, that would be good enough for us. So that is Make Your Own quiz. And I will next navigate back over to Schoology to show you the next activity, which is physical map labeling and political map labeling. Again, these are going to be self-checks. So after you've done a little bit of work, we just want to make sure that you're doing a good job and you're studying where these locations go. This first one, fairly simple. We're looking at some of these items that we'll have some focus on in class. So if I knew I wanted to label the Sahara Desert or maybe the Gobi Desert, I just drag and drop these items into the proper spot. Himalaya Mountains, the Andes Mountains, prime equator, it all adds up. So do a little studying. Again, you've got unlimited chances to get a perfect score, but that's what it's there for you to practice. The next activity is political maps. So now we're looking at some different countries, and your job is to be able to label where all these different countries belong. And go through that and continue it as many times as you need to. Continuing on, we now have a New Visions activity with geographic context. So as I click into this, one of the interesting things here is that you're going to be asked to find the red star. So I'm going to show you where the red star is. I'll use Notability to indicate where it is. But ultimately, we're asking you to download the attached file. After you complete your version of the map, describe the environment of the red star. So let's take a peek at what this activity is. Clicking into New Visions. And the first item here is for you, again, to list and label as many continents, bodies of waters, region as you can. And we're just kind of getting you to again, practice a little bit. You'll notice that the red star is right here in the United States. It is, if I zoomed in far enough, it is Niagara Falls. So we're going to ask that you try to describe the location of the red star, which is Niagara Falls. Feel free to research several websites to gather some information about this location. A couple things you might want to think about that may be valuable for a description is not only the geography of this place, but also maybe the changes and continuities over time, an AP World History theme that we'll be looking at. So perhaps in part of your research, you look at where Niagara Falls was 10,000 years ago, where it is today, what kind of economic and architectural developments have been around from both the United States and the US, or Canada and the United States, excuse me. So the next thing for question number 1 is to have you do this. Post your response within our class assignment page in Schoology. So if I open up Schoology, I want to go back to the assignment where this came from. So I will just click into the New Visions page. And remember, there is at the top of this page, there is a comment post, this icon here. So what I want you to do is to take your response from the Notability page. So I'll just toggle back over to Notability. And let's assume that I'm going to begin to type. I'll put a text box in for myself. I'll begin to type about Niagara Falls. And let's assume that this is going to be a great paragraph. And when I'm done, I'm going to grab this by copying the item. Just tap into this, I'll copy. And I should be able to select the text. Let me just get this text up here like this. Okay, now I've got it copied or selected, and now I can copy it. And if I go back over to Schoology, I should be able to add a post by clicking on the blue plus button. Close that. Clicking on the blue plus button so that I can paste something. If I tap and hold long enough, I should be able to paste, and eventually whatever answer I provide will be there for my classmates to see. Because what we want you to do, I'm just going to X this out and not save it. If I wanted to save it, I would click the green check mark. Because the question is, post your response within our class assignment page in Schoology. Reply to another student to compare how the two of you describe the location of the red star. So it'll be interesting to see how you and other classmates from our section are going to be discussing and describing Niagara Falls. I want you to reply to at least one other person sitting in the classroom or in the remote section, whatever you might be a part of. Next activity. And so that's the new Visions activity. So let me just, I forgot to kind of review a little bit here. So as you go through, we have some mapping practice. You're going to be looking at different places to label. You could even click on some of these links to give you some help if you need it. So in the next page, you'll see that these are the regions of West of Africa. And if you need some help, you can click on the map. to identify places, label in each space, so on and so on. This is pretty self-explanatory, a pretty easy packet. If you ask your teachers, it was designed to be practice. Lastly is an activity for you to complete for your own benefit, which is Maps of the World. So as we click on Maps of the World, you'll see that we're asking you to download, and there are two maps. There's a physical map and a political map, where we're asking you to label specific things. Be sure to only label these things, and you can see that I've highlighted this in orange. Locate the place, label the location on the proper map. So if it's the political map versus the physical map, we want you to do that. And you can even begin to do it with colors. So for example, and you don't have to highlight, you can just write it in a particular color. So do all the oceans and bodies of water in blue. And let's take a look. So here are the actual things we want you to identify. So all the continents can be done in red, the oceans in blue, maybe these items in green, and so on and so on. So all these items on this page will go into the physical map. If I scroll down to map number 2, all of these countries will go into the political map. So that's going to be your job. You could submit both of those maps into Schoology. And if I navigate over one more page to go back to show you, so here is my physical map. And the first thing that I want to do is label, let's see, I'll just go back and split screen this a little bit. The first thing on the physical map is labeling all the continents. So my job over here on my notability page is to begin to label all the different continents. So I would take as, again, maybe I use my red pen, and I'm going to label this North America. Now, one of the things you might want to do is really zoom in on some of your writing. So that's really large writing. I'll practice using my scissors. I'll circle this up, and with a 2-finger pinch pull, I could begin to make my map look really great and hopefully good for you to use and for you to submit, and it looked just as good as any textbook or web page. I hope this video helps. If you have any questions, please email your teacher. Good luck and have a great week.